Proverbs 22:7 says that the borrower is slave to the lender. Can't tell you how many clients have said, I know that feeling. Can Christians use credit cards? So I've got a super hot take for you guys. What if the real danger isn't so much the interest rate that you find on your credit card? What if it's more of the influence? And I don't just mean that the influence that the card companies have over you on your spending. Maybe it's more of the subtle ways that your card changes the way that you think, the way that you justify things, and how it shapes your lifestyle. This isn't about being for or against credit cards or credit card companies. It's about what they're doing to you, whether you realize it or not. And before I tell you my own perspective on this, I want to share a story with you that completely flipped my mindset upside down on this, and then give you something to think about and something for you to chew on. So studies have shown that when you pay with a credit card, you will almost always spend more than you would if you were to instead pay with cash. And it's usually not by just a little bit. Sometimes it can be up to double what you spend versus if you paid with cash. MIT, they did a study where people bid more for the exact same item just because that they could, because they knew that they were going to put it on a card. And the question is why? Because swiping, when you swipe plastic, it doesn't hurt the way that pulling your bills out of your wallet do. If I'm actually to pull out cash, that hurts more because you know that you're not going to get that money back, versus if you pay with the card, you know you're going to get the card back and you're going to get the item. So the pain of the payment is simply delayed, or it just doesn't happen at all. It's easier to say yes to things right now, yes to things that you wouldn't even normally buy. That's the first way that a credit card influences you, is because it rewires the way that you feel about spending. You might tell yourself that you're disciplined because you paid off every single month, but discipline is more than just making the payment. It's about whether the purchase that you made, whether it's something that you would have made at all if the card wasn't actually in your hand and instead you had to pay in cash. Here's a story that completely flipped my perspective on this. I had a client once who taught me better than any study ever could. He was a great guy. He had a solid income, he was married, he paid off his cards every month in full, and we've been working together for a little while, and his finances honestly were pretty good. And everything was clean, but one day he showed up to a session and he said, I cut up all my credit cards. And I asked him, what made you want to do that? It wasn't because his credit was tight or he had a bad credit score. I mean, again, he paid him off every single month, but he casually just mentioned that he went on a trip with his buddies to Canada. And one of his friends just was upfront and honest with him. Kudos to this guy. He said, I am struggling financially. And he told him and his wife, my clients, that he wanted somebody else, a third-party perspective, to look over their budget and see if they could figure out maybe how he could get some help. And when they did this, they pulled open the budget, where his finances were at. What they figured out is that he had a lot, and I mean a lot, of credit card debt. And it was right then and there that my client and his wife, they're like, man, we might be paying off our cards monthly. We might be getting all the benefits, all the perks, all the travel rewards from using our cards and paying them off every single month. But at the end of the day, we're supporting a system that is holding people hostage to a bigger problem. They are part of a continuing problem by supporting these credit card companies. They're making it so that others who are stuck, they're stressed out financially. Marriages are being broken. They are just in a world of hurt and depression, and largely just due to finances and because of the credit cards that they've racked up. They're indebted to tens of thousands of dollars, interest stacking up more than 20%. I mean, these minimum payments are barely even touching the principal at this point. And the worst part, it wasn't necessarily the balance, it was because of how this person had just normalized everything. And so at that point in their life, they said, we're going to cut up our credit cards too, because we don't want to continue supporting this system. And for me, that changed a lot of things. I've never been one much for credit cards because I know people tend to overspend. But when that client said that, he told me, he's like, I'm not in debt myself, but I'm still a part of the system. I'm still playing the credit card game. Even though I paid off every single month, I am helping to keep this industry alive, and it is destroying people like my friend. And that was it. That was it for him. There wasn't any drama. There wasn't a bunch of overthinking. He just went home and he cut up the credit cards, and that was it. He never looked back. Again, not because he couldn't manage these credit cards. He already was. But because he didn't want to participate in the overall game. So all that said, that conversation forced me to wrestle with a deeper question. Not just, can Christians use credit cards? But what are these credit cards? How are these credit cards shaping who we are? Are we still in control, or do we just have the feeling, the illusion of control? Are these cards actually helping us, or are they hurting us? You know, the Bible never says, thou shalt not swipe. There was no credit cards back in that day, but it says plenty about debt, money, and the heart. There's over 2,300 verses about money in the Bible. Proverbs 22:7 says that the borrower is slave to the lender. Can't tell you how many clients have said, I know that feeling. Romans 13:8 says, owe no one anything except to love one another. And Jesus said in Matthew 6:24, you cannot serve both God and money. So if you've ever carried a balance from one month to the next, you know exactly what Proverbs 22 is talking about. You know what that means, that debt is not just a bill, it's a chain around your freedom. And even if you pay it off in full every single month, you can still be quietly serving money without realizing it. Now, to be fair, there are some benefits that credit cards have. Of course, they have the travel perks. You've got some fraud protection. You get some cash back. For a few people, they are just a tool for convenience. But here's the thing, the data says that you're probably not one of those people. 83% of adults in the United States have at least one credit card. And the average household, they owe over $6,500 on their credit cards. Nearly half of the credit card holders in the US, they carry a balance from month to month. And those balances, they're just sitting under interest rates that can be up to 25% right now. So you don't need a calculator to know that you're in a losing game if you have a balance on these that are carrying from month to month. And even if people say, yeah, I'm paying it off every single month, most people are not. So these same companies that are handing out these free airline miles, they're making billions off dollars who people can't pay the bill in full. And the craziest part is, that's their business model. They want you to think that you're winning when you earn 2%, 3%, 4% cash back, but what you're actually doing is helping fund the system that is burying your neighbor. And I'm telling you all of this because if you're a Christian, the credit card question is not just about the math. It's about the mission. Is this credit card, is it helping you to become more like Christ? Is it helping you serve others better? Is it enabling you to give more? To live lighter, to step into opportunities where God puts in your path? Or is it keeping you tied to a lifestyle that is more about comfort and convenience than it is about calling? What's your credit card doing to you right now? And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people to actually get free from their finances, because freedom feels a lot different than saying, I manage debt well. Freedom is looking at your bank account at the end of the month and realizing that you have money that you actually own, not borrowed money from the bank, from the credit cards, until your next paycheck rolls in. Freedom is saying yes to helping somebody who actually needs it without wondering if you're going to be put in a financial hole yourself. Freedom is not thinking about your credit card balance when you go to bed at night. So here's the deal. If you're listening to this and you want to experience this kind of freedom, I've got kind of a crazy offer. I'll link it down here below. But I've got something that you can start right now. And I'm calling it Find $500 or You Get $100 Challenge, where I walk you through bills, subscriptions, spending patterns, and help you to actually figure out, how can I save $500 or at least uncover $500 moving forward, if we can't find that working together, I will literally send you $100. But I've done this long enough to know that most people have $500 in their budget. But I'll pay you $100 out of my own pocket. That's how confident I am because I've been doing this long enough. And I've seen how people are spending what they could be spending more on or spending less on. And where people are just, frankly, they're bleeding cash without even realizing it. And so the beauty is you don't have to earn necessarily more money to start feeling less pressure. You just have to stop the money leaks, right? And that's why I'm offering this. We'll find $500 or you can earn $100. Cost $1 to sign up. And so if you're ready for that, I'll drop the link right below in the description. We'll get started together. So back to the credit cards. Yes, technically you can use them without falling into debt. I've seen it done before. Most of the time, people who think that they're beating the system, they're the ones who are actually just kind of losing slower. And that's why guys like Dave Ramsey say to cut them up without any exceptions. I've also seen others take an approach. It's a little bit softer approach where they say that you can use credit cards. If you use them responsibly, you're paying them off every single month. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But for me, the better question isn't, can I use this without getting in trouble? The question I ask is, does using this help me to live out my values? For my client who went up to Canada with his friend, the answer was no. And for me, in a lot of cases, the answer is also no. And if you're honest with yourself, maybe it's a no for you too. Because in the end, this isn't about just a piece of plastic. It's about who's holding the leash. And sometimes the best financial decision isn't the one with the best rewards program. It's the one that takes the temptation out of your wallet altogether. Sometimes that freedom starts with a single decision. It might not be cutting up the cards today, but maybe it's trying 30-day cash only, saying, I don't need this card anymore. I use cash myself. I use it every chance I get because when I'm forced to hand over my hard-earned dollars, it triggers in my brain the pain system that makes me realize this is a real purchase. And so again, if you're serious about living differently, try a 30-day cash spree. And if you want more tips like this, hit subscribe. It helps out a ton. Right now, I've got more content that's coming that's gonna push you, it's gonna challenge you, and it's gonna help you line up with your money and your mission.